Am I the asshole for telling my son that the fact that his sister was happier to see her cousin was his fault? Background. I, 42M, have a son, Jack, 22M, and a daughter, Cassie, 7F, from 2 different marriages. I had Jack with my first wife, Penelope, who passed away when Jack was 9. This hit both of us hard. I thought Penelope and I were going to be together forever. It took me a long time to be ready to date again, which I started doing when Jack was 14. He wasn't happy about it. I met my first girlfriend, my current wife, Sarah, through work. We dated for a few months before birth control failed and Sarah became pregnant. Because of that, our relationship progressed very fast. She moved in with Jack and I by the time she was 4 months pregnant. Jack was understandably very upset, but bother Sarah and I wanted our child to grow up in a 2-parent household. Unfortunately, due to lack of space, we also had to move out of the apartment I shared with my late wife. Jack was put in therapy to help him adjust. However, Jack and I did luck out a bit with Sarah. Sarah made it a point to have prominent memorabilia of Penelope because of her awful stepmother all but erased Sarah's mother. After Cassie, my daughter, was born, Jack wanted nothing to do with her, which was understandable but upsetting. However, Cassie's maternal cousin, Will, 18M, adored her from day one, and happily stepped into that brother role. Frequent hangouts, played with her dolls, etc. He even has a matching, I think, Hello Kitty necklace with her, and uses it as his good luck charm for his sport. This was the first year both Jack and Will left for college. Jack messed around during high school and had crappy grades and no scholarships. While I would be able to pay, I refused to pay $50K per year plus for him to screw around. So, he went to community college for 2 years and this year transferred to a good school. Will was an A student as well as an excellent athlete, and got an almost full ride to a faraway school. Thankfully, both boys were able to come home for Thanksgiving. Jack came home first. She greeted him without much fanfare, but was still happy he was home. This was very different from how she greeted Will. She waited at my SIL's house for him, made a huge glittery sign, and started bawling her eyes out when she saw him. My sister-in-law posted the video of them reuniting on Facebook, and Jack saw the video and was very upset at the difference in Cassie's "welcome home" enthusiasm. After listening to this for the 5th time, I snapped at him and told him these were the consequences of his actions, i.e. doing nothing to make a bond with his sister for the past 7 years. He got pissed and stormed off to his room. Since then my former in-laws have been ringing my phone off the hook yelling at me and demanding I reprimand my daughter for her lack of enthusiasm at his return. Cassie doesn't know why, but she can tell her brother is upset at her and it is affecting her. Will is pissed that Jack is making Cassie upset. I don't know what to do. You're correct about why Cassie prefers Will, but you are the asshole for how you are communicating with your son Jack. He's your kid too, and it doesn't sound like you treat him very well. The way you frame the scenario sure makes it seem that you don't hold your own son in very high esteem. You are very quick to list all of Will's great characteristics, and really critical of your son's perceived shortcomings. You sound like you would rather have Will for a son. You talk about Jack like he's a disappointment to you and talk up Will. Maybe your son picks up on that. Info. Did you do anything to foster the relationship between the kids and between your son and new wife? From the post you sound pretty dismissive of your son. Well, it's too bad you snapped instead of had an adult conversation with him. Asked him some leading questions to get there on his own. You know that phrase, perception is reality. Poor kid, I bet he has a very different version of events these last 8 years. And then, you snapped at him. But I don't have enough info to make a judgment. Good luck. Like all of us, your son is not too old for teachable moments. This was definitely one of them. Before Jack even said anything the first time, you should have taken him aside and, as gently as you could, pointed to her, no doubt adorable, response to seeing her cousin. You could have then pointed out that love is a plant that needs nurturing and not something that a person is entitled to because they share DNA. After that, if you think he understood, you could point out to him that she's 7 and it's absolutely not too late to start being a great big brother. He just has to want to be. All I know is that you don't give a shit about your son and it's all about Will. Do better as a father. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my fiance's childhood friend? I, 24F, recently got engaged to my fiance, Matt, 23M, and we are in the process of planning our wedding. When the topic of the guest list came up, I told him I would not be okay with inviting his friend Melissa, 24F. To give some backstory, Melissa's family and my fiance's family have been super close since they were toddler. And although I might sound like an insecure girlfriend right now, I'd like to think I have a valid reason to dislike her. To give some backstory, I met Matt and Melissa when we were teenagers working at a summer job. I became very close to the both of them and eventually started falling for Matt. Melissa was aware of this as we would always discuss it, and she would say how cute she thinks it would be if we worked out. Melissa eventually moved away for college and Matt and I became official shortly after she left. Whenever we would post on social media she would be quick to comment and like everything, and whenever she was back in town we would have dinners with both of their families and she would always say how happy she is for us. Upon recent events, I discovered from several credible sources that she has been saying things about me. Matt could do better, she's ugly, they won't last, I bet she's cheating, because I went on a ski trip with my girlfriends. When I told my fiancé all of this, he cut her off but did not confront her. He said it was for the sake of their parents and siblings to not cause any drama. I was hurt that he didn't stand up for me, but I also chose to respect his wishes and keep it away from everyone else. But for my wedding, I think I have an excuse to be a little selfish since it is half about me. Why would I invite someone who secretly spites our relationship? When his mom found out about all of this, she didn't outwardly say she wanted me to change my mind, but she did try and persuade me by saying, "Be the bigger person and show them that her words mean nothing to you." And she does have a point that Melissa's absence will be noticed by many and will raise questions. I don't want drama and I don't want gossip, but at the same time it hurts my morals to invite someone just to please others. Am I the asshole for not wanting to invite her? Not the asshole, NGL. I get why you're upset, like, if she's been talking trash about you behind your back, that's messed up. It's your day, you shouldn't have to invite someone who's been shady, but also, I get how it might cause drama with the families. Personally, I'd probably stick to my guns, but I'd also have a convo with Matt about how it makes you feel, and maybe he can talk to his mom more about it, so it's not just on you. Not the asshole, she sounds like she'd make a stink if she wasn't invited, and if the families aren't aware of why she wasn't invited, she'd have free rein to make up reasons why. Might be best to invite her, rub your happiness in her face. And for a bit of petty revenge, make sure she sat near the most annoying family members, or is placed where she'd be last in line for the reception's food. You are the asshole, not for not wanting to invite her. If it's true, then you're totally justified. However, you're the asshole because neither you nor Matt asked her about it. You're relying on second-hand conversations. Matt is the biggest asshole for not talking to his childhood friend before just cutting her off. You're absolutely not the aw. It's completely understandable that you wouldn't want to invite someone who has been spreading negativity about you. Your feelings are valid, and you have every right to protect your peace of mind. While it's important to consider your fiancé's family and friends, your happiness and well-being should be the priority. If your fiancé truly supports you, he should understand your decision and back you up. Remember, a wedding is a celebration of love and happiness. Don't let someone who brings negativity into your life ruin that. Is it worth meeting with Melissa with Matt and having a frank and open discussion as to why you're hurt? What if it's just gossip and it's not coming from her? But if it is, why would you not want her to know that you've heard and don't appreciate her nasty comments? I think that personally I'd want to put it to bed as an adult and in a transparent way so that there is no confusion as to where you stand as a couple. Not the asshole. It's not your responsibility to be the bigger person at your own wedding by inviting someone who, while maybe an important person to attendees, had badmouthed you behind your back. It's obvious that she does not actually support this relationship and you do not need that bad energy around you on your special day. So what if a few rumors fly around? Let them. Your happiness should be valued above the thoughts and opinions of your guests and husband's family. Am I the asshole for refusing to learn my boyfriend's parents' language? I, 27 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 29 male, for a little over a year. We met through mutual friends and immediately hit it off. To this point, our relationship has been nothing but great, except for this one story. My boyfriend was born in Poland and both of his parents are Polish, but he went to international schools growing up and has been living in the US for the past 8 years. That means that he speaks English like a native speaker, and only speaks Polish around his parents or other family members. I have never met his parents because they still live in Poland and I work a very demanding job, so we never really had time to go visit them. But this year I got promoted, which also means more free days, so we will be going to Poland around Christmas and spend like 2-3 weeks there. Since we first decided on going, I have been super excited to meet his family and discover the country he grew up in. Here's where we started to have a problem. My boyfriend asked if I could start learning Polish before we go to Poland so that I could communicate with his family. I completely understand why he would ask and have no problem with the idea itself. However, for multiple reasons this would be complicated for me, so I said no. He got a bit confused and asked why, so I explained. First of all, we are leaving for Poland on December 19th, which is in 2 weeks, so there's no way I'll have time to learn a language in 2 weeks, especially since Polish is pretty difficult. Also, I currently have a lot of work to do before I can leave for the holidays, so I have very little time to spare. And lastly, I've been asked by my company to learn Italian for professional reasons, so I'm currently learning and I feel like starting a new language now would make it all tangled up in my head. So I told him that I could learn some simple words and phrases, but that there was no way I'd be able to communicate with his family members in Polish in 2 weeks. Also for context, both of his parents speak English pretty well, and some of his other family members too. And I suggested that he could translate for us if needed, but he doesn't want to. He got angry at me and said that I was disrespectful to his family and I wasn't making efforts to understand his culture. He went on a rant about how Americans never make efforts to speak other languages. I speak 3 languages fluently and am learning another one. He even told me that I should just stay here and not come with him for the holidays. I don't know what to do. I can understand his point of view and try to make efforts, but what he's asking me is just not doable. I don't know if I'm in the wrong here. Based on the extra info, I'm going with not the asshole. You've offered to start learning some of the phrases, and I'm sure eventually you could be fluent, but it sounds like he is expecting too much for the time frame. Info. Is he expecting you to be fluent? Or just to learn some of the language? Not the asshole, and why do I get the sense he's intentionally bombing this trip? Like he's not an idiot, right? He knows you can't learn a language in 2 weeks while also learning a different language during a busy work period. Especially when his parents speak English and you've only been dating a year. It's weird. Even if you tried, even if you had nothing else to focus on, no Italian and no job, I sincerely doubt you would be able to get more than basic phrases in the time you have. They speak English. You speak English. You cannot become conversational in a whole new language in 2 weeks. IDK what kind of miracles he's expecting of you, but he is, indeed, being unreasonable. And speaking of not trying hard enough, how about asking you sooner? How about trying to teach you? How about not springing this on you the same month he expects you to be conversing in Polish? Not the asshole. Time to reconsider going to visit Poland with him. And maybe more. You are in the process of learning Italian for work, so Polish is not a priority. If he was so interested in you speaking Polish, he could have spent time during your relationship teaching you the basics. Lots of Europeans are anti-American, so don't take his rant about that too seriously. He wanted to hurt you and insulting Americans came easy to him. Europeans do it like breathing. Lol. Not the asshole. You explained why it was not practical for you to learn Polish now. His reaction was childish and very revealing about how he sees you. He even forgot you speak several languages already, which meant that you are not the horrible stereotypical American he had renting space in his mind. Lol. Even if you wanted to, there's no way you can speak Polish in 2 weeks. You really can't do much more than learn a few phrases and maybe the numbers. Even the numbers 1-10 are gonna be a challenge for an English speaker. I don't believe your boyfriend expects you to learn Polish in 2 weeks. Not the asshole for not wanting to start learning Polish right now, as you have not been together very long and the relationship may not last. It is a big commitment. However, if you are serious about the relationship and in it for the long run, yes, you'll want to learn his mother tongue, in any event, but especially if it is important for him. Am I the asshole for reacting poorly to a photo my brother's ex sent to me? I, 24F, divorced my 26M husband, call him Derek, about 10 months ago. I decided to remain civil because we work at the same place and live in the same small town together. This entire time, he has been adamant that I was his soulmate and that he was going to do the work to win me back. Fast forward to 5 months ago, I met my estranged brother, 27M, call him Luke, and actually introduced him to Derek because I thought they would get along. And they did, became best buds. Well, Luke ended up meeting a girl, 18F, call her Gertrude, soon after this, started dating her and got her pregnant. Gertrude has told us all wild stories and I don't believe most are true. But I know she is a recovering addict, and she is slowly dying from kidney failure. Well, Luke hits a severe bout of depression, and quits talking to all of us almost entirely to cope. Gertrude gets frustrated and starts talking to Derek. They text all day, FaceTime each night. Derek tells me all of this and swears up and down that it's just brotherly sisterly love. That doesn't last long. Derek was now dating Gertrude, because of Minecraft, literally, and she hadn't even broken up with my brother yet. Derek texts me that he just wants to be friends with me and give up hope of us getting back together. I told him I was fine with that, but asked a few questions and he told me everything, including that he believes that they're soulmates. Whatever, it's their life. Last night, I get a Snap notification from Gertrude. I open it, and it's a photo of her in a revealing top with Derek's thumb in her mouth suggestively, taken in his house. Instantly, I'm furious. Why would she send that to me? I immediately text Derek thinking maybe he didn't know, cause there's no way he would be okay with that, but he knew. He said that I wasn't singled out because she sent it to all her Snapchat contacts. I argued back that she should have realized that it was in poor taste to send that to me, and suggested she sent it to show that he wasn't mine anymore. I also said even if she did send it to everyone, it was a cry for attention. He said none of this was the case and they didn't think I was going to react poorly to the photo. I rebutted with the fact that she, who is 18 and pregnant with my nephew, sent me a suggestive photo of her and my ex-husband. I just went ahead and blocked Gertrude on everything, told him she was not welcome at any occasion that I was planning and that I would settle up any outstanding business I had with him directly. Now they're upset and calling me jealous amongst other things, saying I'm overreacting. They also dropped the bombshell that they have already moved in together after 2 weeks of dating. She moved out of halfway housing into his house. From my perspective, Gertrude has been a big attention seeker thus far, and is being catty with me right now, since they have officially moved in together. But I could be wrong and maybe I'm still clinging on to old feelings. Am I the asshole? Girl, block both of them. No matter what happens with her illness or pregnancy, she is going to implode like Nagasaki all over his life. He is not the first man to be made a fool by a young girl. And he won't be the last. Block both of them and move on. Worry about your future nephew when and if he ever shows up. Not the asshole. Major ick on your brother and ex for hooking up WA barely legal junkie. May they all live the life they deserve. Face with rolling eyes. So two dudes in their mid-20s fighting over a sickly, drug-addicted teenager. None here is a good person and I wouldn't expect anything more from Gertrude. I'd let him know that you find him to be a creep for dating a clearly vulnerable pregnant teenager, and that you hope the worst for him. Wow, the men in your life are a bunch of predators. Make sure your brother gets a paternity test. They all take advantage of a vulnerable teenager. Disgusting.